this is Nate Ortiz, and you are listening to Walking Empowered. I just want to share something that impacted me in a service one time. I was sitting and listening to this pastor preach, and he talked about something that we hear a lot in church, where he was referring to when people say Jesus lives inside your heart. And he said, how can someone who's bigger than life itself, who defeated death, hell, and the grave, live on the inside of us? And he was talking about a seed, right? And that what is in the seed is bigger than the seed itself. And he's saying, so the Jesus who is in you, right, is bigger than you yourself. And when I heard that, for you might feel like, okay, well, that's a nice little story. But for me, it really just was this light bulb moment for me, to feel like we can often go through this life feeling like, what do we have to offer? We aren't good at this, or we aren't this, or we aren't doing what this person is doing. But in reality, when we walk with Jesus, he's much bigger on the inside of us than we could ever imagine. Because people might look at us, might look at you, might look at your situation and pass over you, or feel like, well, what do you really have to offer? But I want to tell you this, is that when you have Jesus living in you, you are bigger on the inside than you are on the outside. That's a comforting fact for me. I think when you live your life, it's just trying to succeed or trying to win certain victories or battles. It can be discouraging when you feel like you are small or dwarfed by a situation. But to be truly honest, and there's been so many people in the Bible that have been looked over and not really looked at as someone who's going to do it, right? The prime example that people like to refer to is King David. King David was a shepherd, and he was in the field, and he was taking out animals that were trying to kill the sheep, but he cared for them. And when he was the prophet came at that time to pick out who was going to be the next king, they anointed David, but David was the least of his brothers. And so many times we understand that we want to present ourselves in a way that is big. And when I say big, present ourselves in a way that we're doing great things, and we look this way, and all those kind of things. But really, what's on the inside of your heart? Are you truly bigger on the inside than you are on the outside? We can accomplish a lot of great things in life, but who we are internally really matters to God, right? His word says that man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. So here's a heart check for you. If you were just to pause and put, after this video, right, put unplug from stuff, social media and emails and all of that, and you were just to be able to say, where's my heart really at? Sometimes there's bitterness that you've let creep in. Sometimes there's things that are unresolved. But every once in a while, we have to do this heart check to make sure that what's happening on the inside is worth reproducing, that Jesus is really having that work. We often want to say, God, you can do anything you want in my life, but just don't touch this area. I want to hold on to this. And that's just not how it works. Think about a natural relationship. You wouldn't tell everyone hey, we're going to get married, or we're going to be in this relationship, but you have every part of my life except for this. I'm holding on to this. Sometimes that causes a lot of, some people are like, why I do that? Right? At some point that can cause a lot of tension, that there's this one area that you won't hand over to your spouse. In the same way with our relationship with Jesus, when you give everything over, there's this confidence that comes to you. There's a freedom that comes to your life when you are saying, God, I want you to have all of this. I want you to have every single part of my life. When you do that, you'll begin to see growth happen in your life that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. You'll see things that you've been praying for, asking for, come to fruition. And maybe you see some things you've been praying for not come to fruition, right? It's not just saying God's in those victories, God's sometimes in our losses. And what he speaks to us and what he challenges us with is just always just very, very, a faith-building element. To say, God, I trust you with everything I'm going to be, everything that I am. So listen, as you think about your heart, as you think about taking this, life check here, in this moment, ask yourself, am I truly bigger on the inside than I am on the outside? Or am I just focused on what people see? Or am I really focused on saying, how can my heart be right with God, right with people? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? What do we talk about the most? What do we lend our tongue to, right? Power of life and death is in the tongue. All those elements matter, and these are internal things that we must deal with in our life, because if you don't deal with them, slowly it grabs a greater grip on your life and on your heart. And you want to be the person that you say, Lord, you have full reign in my heart, and those things that are hard, the things that you have to wrestle with, that you take it to him, that you wouldn't harbor them towards people, you wouldn't you just gossip about a person, but you would say, Lord, help me deal with the things in my heart so I can continue to grow to be the person that you've called me to be. Listen, after this video, just pause, take a moment, or when you're done listening, however, if you're listening on podcasts or watching this, but wherever you are, just take a moment to sit and say, Lord, help me just to focus on you, right? Don't put music on, just sit in the silence, the moment of just saying, Lord, what are you speaking to me? And how can I hear you? How can I listen so I can grow big on the inside? It's a great practice to have, that you sit and say, Lord, what are you speaking to me? That we're not distracted with music or other things, but saying, Lord, you have my full attention, and we'll be amazed how God will begin to speak when we begin to listen. Well, hey, I pray blessing upon you. Hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and even a better month. But may God just continue just to strengthen you and encourage you in everything that you're doing.